right, it's a Wednesday, October 29th, 2025, about 5:23 in the PM. Resetting accumulated info. That's what I needed to do the other day. It's at 0 right now. It says 68 degrees Fahrenheit in the car. It's probably close to 68 degrees. I would say maybe like 66 degrees, but that'll drop. So I got this jacket on for today, this little hoodie jacket with a hood on. And with my discount tires, they had a tire there as low as $64, but they were able to patch the back right. And I checked the tire pressure monitor system, and it looks like it's doing okay. I had to put air in it last night. I found a small, looked like carpenter nail from one of those nail gun things, you know, that shoot out. They were able to find that, but I think they tore the head off of it when they yanked the nail out of the tire, and then they're able to patch it, which is good because then the tire lasts longer. And they're about, in the middle, you know. You can go different amount of mileage with certain tires. These were pretty good ones that they put on this original, or this, whenever I got this Forte. It's actually a version of Forte. It's GT Kia. Yeah, I got to work on the novel a little bit. Got to put, you know, this and that, some different wording, add in different things. Anytime you change a line, it changes a lot of it, but that's how it works with novels. And other than that, that's about it. It's been a pretty busy day. We went by Walmart, picked up some cat food and things like that, some tuna and ramen. I'm on kind of a diet, so I'm watching the calories. It's a good way to make like a soup in the night, or, you know, it's a quick and easy way. One time, a long time ago, was on a cabbage soup diet. Those are just the worst. All right, there's the butterfly, and we're headed off. This is where you get to watch me pick off. I'm sorry, you get to watch me pick up food from restaurants and drop it off at your doorstep. Right here, I'll put subscribe. So please hit the subscribe button and the notifying bell so you know when the next video will come through. And then right here, I'll put the PayPal. All right, wait a little bit longer. There we go. It's waiting for that for the edit. And here we go. I found another incredible musician, Oklou, and she does a Tiny Desk concert for NPR. That's her right there. I'm gonna listen to her today. Oklou, Tiny Desk concert. She also has albums and stuff like that.
Over the sweet tunes, beg you to stop soon, cause I cannot ride anymore. None of the answer, it's in the flavors. Strawberry dancer, vanilla song.
So if I'm not mistaken, she's this is her chorus, and they're using like different natural items like tree limbs. It's a tree limb in a grocery bag, and that's the guitar player, and that's Oklou. And this part's pretty incredibly creative. She's actually French. Incredible musician. I got one at McDonald's. 5:40 arrival, 5 minutes, 1.3 mile for the McDonald's on its way, 5:48 arrival, 2 minutes, 0.9 mile for the drop off. I wonder if they're related to the brontosaurus. Kind of see it behind the light pole here. It's a museum of science and history. I remember going there as a kid all the time when I was in Fort Worth. It was like one of my favorite things. They've upgraded it big time. It has like an Omni now and everything. They had a a project. Well, it was like the Omni when I was younger. It was spherical. You could sit back and had the 70 millimeter film, watch these people on snow skis and astronauts in space. They had that there, and they also had a observatory where you could see the planets and stuff like that. For some reason in my memory, at one time, the guy that was doing the observatory, he was like a professor or something, or who knows what he was. He brought a bat into the observatory and took it out of its cage and showed everybody the bat. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's a bat. I was probably first or second grade, I don't remember. So this faceless has no soliciting. Violators will be sacrificed to the old gods, not the new. I remember, be sure to remember. Alrighty, Shake Shack, 5:59 arrival, 5 minutes, 1.4 mile for the pick.
Circle back, slow dance for a harder sky.
Shake Shack on its way, 6:09 arrival, 6 minutes, 3.8 miles for the... Alright, so it starts off with like a chorus. Okay, that brings me right to Rent. Jonathan Larson's. I mean, obviously it's probably affected her as a musician. With the strawberry dancer, ice cream truck, all that stuff, it sounds very similar to the opening of Rent a little bit. Which is an incredible musical, and written by an incredible person. But no, she's also incredible. She's nothing to sneeze at. Oklou. She is amazing in all her French aspect of things. I'm just blown away when I heard it. I'm gonna have to find her albums and start listening to her and everything. I find a lot of stuff on NPR, and then I find a lot of stuff on KEXP. I kind of go between the two, like a lot of people do. Sometimes they get millions of views. But the Oklou thing I listened to, and I was like, "This is incredible. What does it remind me of?" And then it just now hit me, the musical Rent. Which, you know, it's interesting about the playwright and the musical composer and everything, Jonathan, who happens to be my first legal name, is once he finally got discovered and he got all the funding and they started to launch Rent, which I think is still on Broadway, then he goes off and dies. You know, the benefit, I don't know if he knew that. He died of an aneurysm. But those are hard to predict. And he worked in a coffee shop or something. I saw behind the scenes documentary on him. I don't know a whole lot about him. I used to know it's an incredible musical, and we always talked about it, starting off at Texas Wesleyan, and then going to UNT, and then finally getting to New York. I never got to see it, but my friends were part of it, and they got to be in it, and photographs. I got to see photographs of them in it. I think my friend Charles was part of it. You know, versions of it in New York. It's just so crazy. But that must affect almost all musicians. That strawberry dancer, ice cream truck, all that stuff is what I think of when I'm listening to Oklou and the opening of that part of NPR. I got a little bit of it on the iPhone 17 Pro. I'm using the iPhone 11 right now for organization purposes. But here is the demon on the haunted house. If we can see it. There it is. It's a cutting edge haunted house. And I think that's where I'm going right now. Great. Maybe someone ordered. possibly stayed in line while they ordered. Okay. I see it's only near here. This is the cutting edge. There's parking. To be some green little house. Maybe that's what they mean by green. I don't know. Anyway, that's the back side of like a haunted house of the cutting edge. And that would be the front entrance right there. And this is on the Lancaster side. Seems like there's some improvement, but I just think it could be way better, you know, where there's really no one that has to literally sleep under a bridge. You know, I just don't, with all the technology we have, I just don't see why we can't solve that issue. I know it's been around since the beginning of time, but, you know, so are certain diseases that we've gotten rid of. You know, I'm not saying that that's what they are at all, but there's a lot of things in over the history that we've been able to help, you know, and that aspect of life is just, there's ways to, you know, to give them like a voucher, immediate voucher. People come out and just hand it to them and say, this is where you're staying tonight, you know, and these people would be paid by the state and the federal government, and they would constantly, their job would be, if they see someone under a bridge, to hand them this voucher and lead them to safety, especially when the cold weather is coming. It just doesn't make sense to me, you know? Like it has to be in our society, and it's in every 50 states. It's in every country that we know of. And it's something that people just ignore, just like alcoholism and addiction and things like that. It's sometimes connected to it, especially addiction. And that's another thing that we would need to address too with the NLP, the New Liberty Party.
Thanks so much for having us.
All right, St. Paul Lutheran's Church. I don't think they upgraded till Monday. They have something from Ephesians 3:21. To him be glory forever. Yeah, Ephesians is to Ephesus, to the city of Ephesus. Written by Paul, once Saul, the evil one, the chief of all sinners. And he became a prisoner and wrote half the New Testament and the epistles, which are the letters to the church. Ephesus was one of them, which was a church. And Ephesians is that letter. It's kind of like, this is what God told me to tell you. And people listened, and they still do today. It's 2,000 years old or more. Luke studied with him. He studied with the Apostle Paul. And Paul was known as the apostle, even though there were many apostles, but he was the apostle. He was the example. And he's the hard one to, what he went through was hard. And he had his way at one time, and then he, had to learn to live as a prisoner. And that's where he wrote. Funny, because John Bunyan wrote too, in the prisons during the time of the Great Plague, 1600s. Shake Shack. I'm already there. 6:31 arrival. About 100 yards for the pickup. All right, Shake Shack on its way. 6:59 arrival. 17 minutes, 10 miles for the delivery. American Flyer Boulevard, which we'll be turning on. We're currently on West Point. It's the very end of West Point, going into a new housing development on the other side of White Settlement. They do models. Zap Kitchen, 722, arrival 1 minute, 0.2 mile for the pickup. This is a Quince restaurant. Oh yeah, these are really nice. Got a plant. Stand up these things. Yeah, these are definitely getting a thumbs up. And great for ramen noodle spills. Alright, really nice restaurants. They're known as the Global Kitchen. Ooh, Elliot Aaron. Caroline Vaughn. Adolf Meyer. Alright, Mellow Mushroom on our way. 7:42 arrival, 7 minutes, 2.1 miles for that Mellow Mushroom pizza pickup. Frogger Crossing. We're on a TCU campus. Been around since 1873, about 152 years ago. They started off downtown Fort Worth, 5 city blocks. Then they were surrounded by brothels and, of course, bars. And they decided to move over here. There's plenty of bars over that way. And get away from all of it. Not until heaven. There goes a snag. And that's Mellow Mushroom. Pizza bakers. Ooh, black cat alert. I've gotten over my fear of black cats since I've been taking care of Amy the Witch. There he is, the Castrol Pizza Man, with his drink and slice of pizza. Hi, Kristen B. Castrol Pizza Man, with pizza and drink. Be merry. Now we take pizza. And this one's for the Zap Kitchen. 7:46, 10 minutes, 0.7 mile for the delivery. Mellow Mushroom on our way. 8 arrival, 2 minutes, 0.6 mile for the pickup. Yeah, they've not had it lit up. He's on his bicycle. I asked Siri about pizza. She just said it's usually a flat piece of bread with meats and vegetables. 8:08 arrival, 2 minutes, 1.1 mile for the Mellow Mushroom delivery. So after I asked her about pizza, I'm talking about Siri, then I asked her, well, then what is love? And then she, reasonably and logically answered with, well, it's not always pizza. And then we laughed together and Siri, anyway. No, she does have a definition for pizza and love too. I don't know, the first time when I was programming the new phone, I asked her about love, that she gave me the answer in just like a written text kind of thing. It took a while before I could get her voice activated. Okay, this is Bluebonnet Circle. There is Mellow Mushroom. Hi, Siri. How are you? Hey, Siri. What is pizza? Oh, she was talking earlier. Hey, Siri. Hey, Siri. What is pizza?
Pizza is an Italian, specifically Neapolitan, dish typically consisting of a flat base of leavened wheat-based dough, topped with tomato, cheese, and other ingredients, baked at a high temperature, traditionally in a wood-fired oven. That was from Wikipedia. Should I keep going?
I'm looking for someone that's kind of like you. Have you heard of the Please Subscribe show?
I can search the web for that when you're finished driving.
Oh, well, I'm glad that you're so safe. One more question. Hey, Siri. Is love pizza?
You'll need to turn on location services for that. Want to turn it on just this once, or while using Siri?
We'll allow once.
The only option I found is Lover's Pizza and Pasta on East Mockingbird Lane in Dallas, about 37 miles to your east, and it gets 4 stars.
Okay. Hey, Siri. Switching over. There we go. Hey, Siri. Another question, if you don't mind. Is that okay? I guess so. Mellow Mushroom. Hey, Siri.
Mm-hmm.
What is a train?
A train is a series of connected vehicles, that run along a railway track and transport people, or freight. That was from Wikipedia. Shall I continue?
No, that's okay now. But thanks for playing along. Oh, I got one more. Hey, Siri.
Uh-huh.
What is a stand-up comedian?
Stand-up comedy is a performance directed to a live audience, where the performer stands on a stage and delivers humorous and satirical monologues, sometimes incorporating physical acts. That was from Wikipedia.
All
Would
right.
you like to hear more?
No, you summed it up, the whole satire.
I can search the web for that when you're finished driving.
I appreciate that, but that's okay. Thanks for helping out. All right, that's what the Apple Intelligence turned off. Oh, yeah, it's going to take time for that to do. There we go. Surrey. It's kind of like Siri. I was saying Surrey, the street name, not you. Sorry about that. It was a
I can search the web for that when you're finished driving.
It's a missed call. Don't worry about it, Siri, okay? Thanks. All right, Little Caesar on Seminary on our way, 8:22 arrival, 5 minutes, 1.8 mile for the pickup. 27 right now. Somebody supposedly picked it up at 7:50, so I guess it's already been picked up.
Music and people from all ages, and a big board was.
I got a $3 at Pacific Table. Pretty nice restaurant too. 9:09 arrival, 2 minutes, 0.3 mile for the pickup. Yeah, the Pacific restaurant is actually pretty nice. Nice candle in here. These are nice. All right, the photo I got was their flounder. Looks like it was breaded. Right, Pacific Table on its way, 9:22 arrival, 4 minutes, 1.5 mile for the delivery. University Park Village. Alright, so one's probably going to be, I'd say maybe a 7-Eleven, which a lot of times that's an alcohol drop. Or sometimes it's candy and a Slurpee. That could be a delivery too from 7-Eleven. Come on, another black cat just ran right zigzag that way. I'm like, come on, what's going on? It's like, are they purposely breeding black cats in the area? It ran out of zigzag too. Well, not zigzag, but it was like diagonal. So I'm like, okay, I get the point. Even though I deal with Amy the Witch, like every time I go back, Amy the Witch, who's a black cat that's a stray that's around us, will run right up to me and then right across my path. Even if I'm going up the stairs, she'll run up the stairs where I'm going. I literally would have to go back down, go around. I try to walk a little bit like not kind of like Tron. Have you ever seen Tron? You know, the sci-fi masterpiece. Now Jared Leto's a part of it. Jeff Bridges was part of it. Anyway, if you have it, then crawl out of the cave and, you know, check back in with me. But regardless, the cat will go, you know, and so I'll walk literally on this side of the path, you know, the right side or whatever, kind of hugging the wall where the cat may not have gone, even though I know I'm crossing its path. At least I'm trying to avoid. But she does it to me every time because she's hungry. She just wants to eat. She said, I don't care if I'm a black cat. I'm going to walk right in front of you. And she'll snuggle up against my shins. But that's my path. Oops. All right, we'll just continue this in one take. It's Berry Street 1. It's over there. It's a TCU 1. All right, let me see if I can initiate it. Sorry, you're in my crotch right now. All right. Testing 1, 2, and 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing. That wants me to walk. Always does that to me. Is that an insult? Like, why don't you get out and walk? Anyway, it's the... That is weird. I don't see why it's doing that. Interesting. There we go. All right. TCU, Berry Street, McDonald's. 9:31 arrival, 2 minutes, 0.7 miles for the pickup. McDonald's on its way, 9:39 arrival, 2 minutes, 0.6 mile for the This one's a knock after work, so it's usually just like a couple of knocks, like 3 hard knocks or something. So Blade Bird is probably one of her great songs for Oklou. It's a great video. All right, passing Mr. Zip. Got one at Jack in a Box on University. 10:13 arrival, 1 minute, 0.3 miles for the pickup. What time are lobby opens? Or closes, sir? Time to ask my friend. When I say they open at 6, they close at 10. Sometimes 2 a.m., but that's probably the lobby. This says hours. That's probably drive-through, and that's probably lobby. Thanks a lot, appreciate it. Now let's get a little more footage. Video, you can actually see it. Says dining, and then drive through on the right. The blinking light. Looks like Old South opened back up. Okay, going to the Revel. 10:27 arrival, 5 minutes, 1.6 miles for the delivery. Yeah, they're from California and they got a BMW. Oh, he's going to the Revel. Oh wow, free chocolate. I'm on a diet now, so it defeats the purpose of the free food. I don't work in an office. Okay. They should put lights in this thing right here. I'm surprised they haven't. I think they do it during the holiday, like Christmas holiday. This tree with Christmas lights, I could have really. There's insomnia cookies. If you just can't sleep and you need a cookie, try insomnia. Here's my commercial. If you just can't sleep and you want a cookie, try insomnia. They're warm cookies. Eat them. All right, Stoner's Pizza, 10:36 arrival, 1 minute, 0.1 mile for, and there's our friend, the train. Hello. The delivery. We'll just kind of keep it on here for right in front of World Smoke and Vape. And they want to legalize marinara, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, marinara is perfectly legal. I think in all 49 states. Yeah, Hawaii. Oh, that's right. Hawaii had a problem, I remember. Because the surfers were trying to lose the weight, so they outlawed it for a while. But marinara is really not that fattening, but they were cutting corners and it helped overall. Then they legalized it years later, but they're still having problems with the marinara. Parkside Urban Apartments, where you live nice and quiet. And they got a skeleton outside Stoner's Pizza. He didn't make it. They got the Colombian stuff. A little message from the cartel. Sorry, I didn't understand Stoner talk. right, Stoner's Pizza on its way, 10:52, 7 minutes, 2.3 miles. Did anyone order a pizza? Yeah, man. It's over here. Most of the lights are, well, one of them's blinking over there. Not that it matters, but take note of that. There's another blinking light over that way. I don't know, sometimes they don't have this lit up. I don't know. Maybe to save a little bit of money, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. Or maybe they're readjusting the bulbs. Going to the Bowery. All right. White C. Hedrick built it 1931, went into business 1933. Beaux-Arts, look it up.
The desk is kind
It's like that first song on NPR. Okay, dude. This is also really cool. Still listening to it. Now, this is her album, but it won't let you overplay. So, you know, like if you're using an app, you can overplay certain songs. Is that what makes it a song? Well, probably not, but because people listen to the other ones that you can't overplay. But what's the difference? I don't understand that. It's supposed to be some kind of contract they have. It means like while you're working, you can listen to music on certain songs. On certain songs, you can't. There might be something going on with that. I don't know if that makes any sense. Oh, Stage West over that way. I don't know what they're doing right now. I have to look on their website. Dana's part of it. She's one of my friends, Westland. Stage West that way. Yeah, if you're an actor, even from New York, you're in town, check out Stage West. They're really professional. And the stage thing right there, I don't know what that is. It's kind of business or something. This is all like bar area. Like there's Tricks and Trade. There's just a bunch of bars in this area. South Main District. Ice cream truck. Strawberry dancer. Something in French. Something about this. And ice cream truck. All right. Just for note for correction, sharp turns, right? Word sharp helps. Strawberry dancer. Okay. Head to the right, stairs, go up one level, open the door on the right. Straight down. Oh, okay. Straight down there. Not quite the cardio need, but Weinstein. That's at least an officer here. Professional meeting. I think that's the name of it. No, it's called Bowery South. Yeah, it's it. Yeah, the Bowery. Okay, yeah, they call it the Bowery. They also have a Bowery in New York. That's where Sam Shepard got his start. There are a lot of like churches and things like that there. I've walked by. He used some of those churches to present his plays. Some of them are still there. They haven't torn down every one of them, and they're kind of creepy looking too. They're haunting. They're standalone churches. They've got like a gate around them and stuff. I kind of followed some of the footsteps. I guess we could say the footsteps of Sam Shepard. I was a big Sam Shepard fan when I went to the actor studio in New York, and I'd walk around. You know, they don't have like all that information on where he perform some of his plays, because his plays were kind of disposable, and they didn't take him, I don't think, too serious as a playwright until they gave him a Pulitzer, because he never quit it. I'll go down this way. I just kept doing it, and finally it got a lot of attention. And then, but what's interesting is if you look at one of his first plays, which was Cowboy Mouth, I'm pretty sure if you look at the premiere, I want to say that was actually done in England and the UK, which is later he went there. I think it opened in the UK. I think the premiere was, and then later Sam Shepard and Patti Smith would do it. I always thought it was La Mama, but it's another theater. It's a different theater that they opened it at. It's in I think it's on Wiki, or I think it is on Wiki, the premiere area of where they opened that play. Patti Smith would know. But La Mama was like safe to say, so probably I may have said that on a few vlogs. But it wasn't La Mama that they opened it at. But he did stuff at La Mama, I think. That's where Joe Chaikin had a home for a while at that theater. And Joe Chaikin was when they discovered him. Down there at Stage West, you go there, say hi to Dana Schultes for me. She's a great actress and a great director. She's directed me before. She directed me in the Act 1, Scene 1 of True West. I got to do that here in Fort Worth in an apartment that was actually mine. I was living in where the Modern Art Museum is now. I played Lee, which is interesting. Now, going from that bridge to another bridge, I was listening to an interview about, Ethan Hawke, but there was another interview I was listening, because Ethan Hawke played Lee not too long ago with Paul Dano on Broadway. There was another interview I was listening to with Jesse Plemons. I don't know if he mentioned... No, he just reminds me of a Lee. Like, he could probably play Lee. He may have in scene work, or he may have done the play True West. It'd be great for him to play Lee or Austin, either or. Philip Seymour Hoffman and Thomas C. Riley did it, and they switched roles on Broadway, which I thought was brilliant. I wanted to do that here. I wanted to try it. I got a hold of my friend Adam Dietrich, who helped with a television station. He helped with reels. I almost played the father of... this is kind of a funny story. Of Dahmer, of Jeffrey Dahmer. Boy, I jump all over the place. Sam Shepard and Jeffrey Dahmer. They were doing Murder Made Me Famous, and Adam was behind some of the production of that. So they sent me some stuff, and I guess I was going to play the father. I was probably too young looking. I saw the one they cast. He was kind of roly-poly and old, and I was still had an ounce of youth in me. And my kids were like running around down the hallway of where I was living. I was living in this rental house off of Rochelle. And they were all kind of like just running around. I was like, be quiet. I'm about to audition for Jeffrey Dahmer's father. I didn't tell him that. My wife at the time, well, she still is a big Baptist. She went to DBU, Dallas Baptist University. So I'm like, I don't even know if I told her. I don't think I did. I had to wait for everyone to go to sleep. And it's just I don't know. It was like a mentally abusive father scene or something. I don't know if that makes any sense. Or dominating father scene. And I was in the hallway and set up the camera. I guess maybe it was probably my Samsung 8, probably, or it was probably my smartphone that I auditioned on, and then I sent it unlisted on YouTube. So it's floating around on YouTube unlisted. I don't know how well the audition went. I didn't get the part, thank goodness. I would have regretted that. I didn't want to be a part of Dahmer's story, but it did air, so they did have another actor, and I don't know if I don't think Adam was behind the casting. They probably had a casting director. But Reels is a pretty big channel. I was kind of trying to get on that. And I went on several different other little auditions and stuff like that now and then. I did a camping commercial, or it was like it was for Facebook. It was a type of stove that solo stove is what they called it. And you can camp with it. It makes a really good fire. You cook hamburgers over the solo stove. And we did this, it was like the 4th of July. To him be glory forever, Ephesians 3:21. was like a 4th of July setting, you know, and everyone's like, yay, Rover the Solo Stove. And I did get that when I got paid. But at the time I was kind of nervous because I didn't know the filmmaker. He was, you know, like a YouTuber. And then the lady was with him. She was, you know, his, like, I guess his common law wife, or maybe his partner. Or maybe just his partner. I don't know who she was. And I mentioned, is there any possible way I could get cash, you know? Because I didn't want to leave. I was pretty certain they were going to pay me. It was a long shoot. It was a lot. I wore this like kind of thick coat. They had me wear this like coat. It might have been a pea coat or something. I don't know. I was like sitting around a fire, you know, starting the fire and that kind of thing. And you know, they're like, well, don't you take PayPal? It's like, yeah, I'm new at all that. I was really new at all that, you know, about taking PayPal and everything. They actually pulled out and paid me cash. It was funny. It wasn't for a whole lot. It wasn't like thousands of dollars or anything. It wasn't that kind of commercial. But I was like, oh, thank goodness, because I had to pay for gas to get out there and blah, blah, blah. And it was like almost an all-day shoot. And I was sweating. It was like in the summertime. We had to change in an Airbnb camper. You know, and it was like, golly, how lost can you know? You feel like, you ever seen the movie The Abyss with Ed Harris? You know, he's at the bottom of the abyss. He's got that little watch on. He's trying to send like a text message to his partner and wife or ex-wife. You know, there's a one-way trip. I didn't want it to be like that. I probably needed gas money to get home. But they did. They paid me, and it was like, okay, it was legit. It went on Facebook somewhere, so I'm sure. I don't know if I'm in it or my hand's in it or my profile's in it. I don't remember. I think I was a little heavy set. Still had kids. Oh, man. I think I was still with the bank. I'm not sure if I was in transition. Eventually, I was with a bank. I worked for a bank for like 4.5 years, and then I transitioned to doing Uber, you know, as a way to bring in money. But it's long hours, and it all led to basically a divorce. Is this thing on? Hello? All right. All right, I'll try not to talk too much. But I was talking to myself, and sometimes I do that. Oh, well, a lot. Probably about 5,000 posts of it or more. There's a Steve Buscemi movie called In the Soup, but I was thinking of ramen noodle, you know, like hot ramen noodle with carrots and broccoli and spinach, then maybe some tuna mixed in there, and not always tuna, you know, sometimes you can put sausage as well or something, but it's still soup, you know, you can make it like a soup. There's something comforting about it. I don't really remember that movie that much, though. It was around the time probably when he did Living in Oblivion, which I thought was brilliant. Boils down, people, to Steve Buscemi. That smile. You ask yourself, why not be an actor? And you're trying to be a novelist or something like that, but you don't really know, but and you think, well, that guy is over there. He's kind of like Jean-Luc Godard of the actors or something, you know? Like, why is that guy a filmmaker? Jean-Luc Godard, right? Well, he was kind of funny. But that's what you're thinking. You're like, well, this dude's an actor? You know, yeah, that's Steve Buscemi. But he's actually dang good. He was in one of my favorite noir films. Why a lot of people don't consider it noir. It's actually a heist movie, Reservoir Dogs. Is Mr. Pink, who is the character that kind of makes sense because he wants to live, but you don't get it. You don't see him get killed. You just hear it. That's why I always think it'd be great to do like a remake, not a remake, but a sequel. That's what they call it, a sequel to Reservoir Dogs, and Mr. Pink would have survived it or something. You know, he was shot 4 or 5 times and survived it, and has or knows where the diamonds are. You know, that's what he's been living on, some of the diamonds. They got him, but he stuck some of them up his butt, you know, which makes sense with Pulp Fiction, with this watch. What your father had to do with the watch. Do you know what he had to do? And, you know, it's like, you know, he put the diamonds in his butt, you know, and that's what we find out. Couldn't you imagine Steve Buscemi saying the word butt? But, you know, like, where were the diamonds? What did you do with the diamonds when they got you? I was able to put a few in my butt. And the thing is about it, Or he probably swallowed. Yeah, he swallowed a few of them. Yeah, I swallowed a few of the diamonds. And then later on, he poops them out while he's in jail. And then he lived on those for a while. You can live a long time on just a few diamonds, depending on how many diamonds and how pure they are. But anyway, that's just one of the things. I'm not going to rewrite Reservoir Dogs. I don't think I would. You never know. Something could happen to Quentin Tarantino all of a sudden. Hey, Cole, that Reservoir Dog idea about the sequel. Like, don't tell Quentin. He probably may or may not have heard. He's heard of Jordan the Lion for sure. Jordan the Lion, I think, has heard of me. All right, we're going to pass the F-18 Hornet. How many minutes? Damn it. 5 minutes. I can't afford that. Well, I'll leave it in there. We'll have some ramen. There's Kitty. Now, I know it's hard for you, Kitty, but we're going to share with outdoor Kitty. Amy the Witch is running around like crazy, but Taffy's still out there. I know you're interested, but this pate is not yours, okay? It's the outdoor kitties. They're out there meowing. Okay. 1 scoop. Let's do 1.5 scoop. The other one should be out there. Okay. I'm doing that one for Amy. Okay, hang on, kitty. Special kitties for the outdoor kitties. Okay. Here we go. Put this just right there so it doesn't go away. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go with today's kitty. There's one kitty, 9 lives. Each life has a number, numbers 1 through 9. Swirl the cat food. And pick the leftover cat food. Temptation bites and gravy. Seafood medley flavor. With salmon and flavors of shrimp. High quality protein. All right, come on, kitty. And we're gonna do 1 good scoop of this right here. There we go. Very good, kitty. And I'm basically just having some leftover things. And I'm not gonna vlog, it's too messy. I gotta, y'all have a good night.